Okay, Jason, I'm gonna give you a brief rundown of what we've got here. All right, this is a unit as it's going to look when it's ready to fly. I've got a dummy, an old busted up GoPro on here just to get everything balanced out. I've learned not to use my good cameras for testing these things when they're in the air, but this is basically what it's going to look like though. This is your FPV transmitter. It's a 2000 milliwatt, 5.8 gigahertz. You should get really good range with it. Got it mounted on top of the gimbal, kind of away from everything else. There's a long red power cable here that goes to the main power cable back here in the back. I'm gonna turn around and let you look at it. You've actually got three external power connectors connected to the main power cable here. Okay, one of them is to power the video transmitter. One goes to the gimbal, and the gimbal is connected to a 12 volt regulator, so we get a smooth 12 volts, a clean 12 volts to power the gimbal with. And another one to power the UBEC that powers the autopilot, which is located right here, if you can see it. And there's a 12 volt regulator right here that powers your gimbal. All right, if you notice on the bottom here, there's several different places you can mount batteries right now. You can mount your battery here, or if you want to run two in parallel, you can mount one here and mount another one here, and you can get those extended flight times. Now with this particular setup, we originally invoiced you for 6 cells, and we usually use the Zippy brand 6 cell 8000 milliamp LiPos, but the one that we originally was setting up for you that we crashed, that was a little too much for these motors. These motors get plenty of power and good flight time off just a 5 cell setup. You can use 6 cells if you want to, but it's a little bit overkill for this. So we're just going to go with 5 cells on this, and what we did is we went with the Turnigy Nanotech, which is a better brand than the Zippy. And the Nanotech 5 cells are actually a little bit more than the Zippy 8000 milliamp 6 cells. So this is one of the better quality pack for this. The gimbal and everything works really well. This back here is your telemetry, wireless telemetry. Notice we got the two separated here. And typically when you fly, you want to have the antennas angled down so it broadcasts at an angle. The props mount on with 2 M3 Allen head screws. That's all it takes. And again, I don't know if I've already explained this to you, but you've got some wing nuts here. These wing nuts loosen like that. You pop these screws out, and you can fold the arms this way. All right. The arms don't fold to the front and back. The arms fold out to the side. All right. One more thing, when you get it, the landing gear legs are going to be unscrewed from the brackets here, but we're going to leave this on for shipping. So when you get it, you'll just put the landing gear legs in. You're going to slide this assembly, gimbal assembly, onto the rails. Something what else you may have to do to get it ready to fly. And that's really about it. We're going to try to put it in the box with the props on. If we can wrap it up real good, and we'll also get plenty of space. But if there's not enough space, enough wiggle room in it, then we're going to take the props off. So you'll have to mount the props and landing gear and put the gimbal on. But I'm going to try to have it as ready to go as possible for you, because I know we're short on time here, and you need to be able to get up and get ready and get this thing flying. So I'm going to turn the transmitter on here.
Welcome to OpenTX.
This is the Taranis, the XD standard transmitter default settings. This is your pitch control for the gimbal. That is the pan control for the gimbal. These are your main flight mode switches. You go start off in stabilize mode.
Altitude hold. Loiter. Landing.
I've got the land descent rate set to 30 centimeters a second, which is nice and slow. So if you have trouble with your landings, just remember, all switches down, and it'll come down nice and soft. And I've got a video up where Gary Mididero, came and picked this up, and I showed him how it worked. And you can see on the video on my YouTube channel just how that works. When you get over the spot you want to land, all switches down, and you can still control the roll and the pitch to kind of guide it over the spot you want. And as soon as it touches ground, what you're going to do is throttle down, switches up as soon as it lands, as soon as it touches ground. Okay? What that's going to do is kill the power to the motors. All right. So we're going to go back to the land mode, all switches down. With the SD switch all the way down, if you go up to the middle on the SC, that's circle mode, and you can set the circle radius in the mission planner.
Auto.
And that's auto. That's to start an auto scripted waypoint mission. That's later down the road.
Stabilize.
I mean, it's fully functional and it'll work, but I would just focus on flying and stabilize, altitude and loiter, and the other modes right now. And return to launch. This is your failsafe. If it gets, if you lose orientation, or it's somewhere where you can't see it, or you just need to bring it back.
Return to launch.
Let's return to launch. Okay. Remember this switch. Set up to the SE.
Stabilize.
And it's back and stabilized now.
Return to launch.
Return to launch.
Stabilize.
I've got the return to launch set up right now, where it's going to return to home at its current altitude. So whatever altitude it's at when you initiate return to launch, that's the altitude it's going to come back at. And when it gets to home location, where you started it up at, it's going to drop down to 5 meters. And it's going to stay there until you switch into another mode or bring in for a landing. All right. So I'm going to power this up real quick and show you. All right. The gimbal, it's going to offset a little bit. Just adjust it with the transmitter, with the pan, the right slider. If you notice, you got pan control. And the pitch. The pan and pitch is fully adjustable within the Basecam Technologies Alex Moss version 2.40 B7 from GUI. So everything is functional. And there are little indentations here that let you know when you hit midpoint, and also set to beep so you'll know. But not on the pan, because the pan, again, the way these gimbals work is when you first power it up, it's going to be offset a little bit. So you're going to have to trim it with this. You don't want it beeping every time you trim. So that'll get it centered. All right. FPV transmitter's running. Everything's already running and powered up once you plug the battery in and power it up. This is your monitor. You can mount this however you want. It's got a little adhesive pad. You can mount it to the transmitter, mount it to something else, whatever you want. We put a red JST connector on it so it can be powered with a 12-volt battery, which we're going to include. It's your 1000 milliamp 3-cell 25C battery to power your monitor. Right. And there is your RCA video input jack. This is your 500 gigahertz 32-channel receiver. Everything's already wired up and set up. Just plug and play. Plug into your monitor. It's your power supply. And your LiPo charger, which already has the XT60 on it. So all the stuff will be plug and play. So when you get it, it'll be as little work for you as possible to get it in the air. I mean, when you get it, really all you should have to do is put the props on, mount the landing gear, slide the gimbal back on, and try it out. But I will suggest when you first get it, go ahead and install a mission planner on your laptop, establish a connection with the copter, either wirelessly via the telemetry module. This goes into your computer, or if you're using an Android-based tablet or smartphone, you plug the telemetry module into this USB host cable, which I'm using my phone to record this. But this end plugs into your phone or your tablet. All right. But I would suggest when you establish a connection, do it on a PC with a mission planner, with a full version mission planner, and not the app versions. that run on your tablet or your smartphone. Those don't offer the full functionality that the Mission Planner does on PC. So what you want to do when you first get it, you want to power it up for a little bit and let it set for at least 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes. You need to let the GPS reacclimate to the change in location. The barometric pressure and temperature sensor, you need to let that adjust. Give all that stuff plenty of time to adjust. In fact, you can take it up and fly it around in stabilize mode a little bit, but don't put it in any other mode. Give the sensors time to acclimate to the changing location and environment. This thing has a host of sensors on it. All those sensors are very sensitive and they need to acclimate. This isn't a toy copter or a DJI or anything. It just does basic stabilization, return to launch, and position hold. This is a fully autonomous drone that you can plan waypoints in if you want to do shoots or plan a photo shoot or a video shoot with this thing. And you can go ahead and plan waypoints on the Mission Planner, and it will literally fly those waypoints better than you can yourself. Then all you have to do is just control your camera and your gimbal and keep it pointed on what you want. This is your LiPo alarm. Use this. Do not fly without your LiPo alarm. In fact, strap it down to the frame when you get it just to keep a hold of it so you don't lose it. But this is very loud and it's got some lights. You'll be able to hear this thing from hundreds of yards away, unless it's really loud. But use this LiPo alarm. Don't over discharge your batteries. This is a high current setup, and with this PixHawk, the voltage and power module that it comes with, where you can monitor in-flight voltage and current, it's only rated for 4-cell setups. This is a 5 to 6-cell setup. So we're going to source you a higher voltage and current power module. And when we find one and get one to you, it's going to plug in between your battery and the existing power cable here. All right. Then there's going to be another cable that plugs into the autopilot. But that's down the road. You don't need to be flying it so far away from you right now that you would require using that. I recommend everybody keep these things close, keep them within line of sight. All right. This is an investment until you get used to flying and operating and knowing how it handles. Don't take any unnecessary risk with it. All right. And your retracts. These are retracts. I didn't put these on for a reason. I've built probably close to 100 of these things, not this particular model, but copters just from the last year. And whenever I put everything on these copters to start, it never fails. The overwhelming majority of people, when they get them, they take it out, put everything on it, and first flight, they end up damaging the retracts or damaging the gimbal or crashing it, and then they basically either lose their whole investment or they incur a large cost to replace parts. Don't do that. I gave you a free set of carbon fiber landing gear. Use these. You can see where the camera's at. This is the GoPro's 120-degree viewing angle. You're not going to get any landing gear or props in your shots. All right, you can pan around a little bit, look up and down, and you're going to get some nice clean shots. Wait about putting your retracts on. All right, get comfortable with the aircraft first, and then later on, if you need help installing them, I will guide you through it. Okay, but it's a quick and easy install. But we've already put them together for you. You're getting everything, and you've got 2 extra props. And send you some extra straps. And I'm going to open this up and show you what the inside looks like. This is the autopilot. You got the buzzer. The arming switch is located on top of the canopy, so don't jerk this too hard when you undo it. If you've got to work on it or do anything to it, this is how you're going to position the canopy. And put the screw back on the top to hold the canopy down. Once you do that, you can access the USB, the micro USB port on the side of the autopilot. When you first get it, I suggest taking your PC or laptop, whatever you run the Mission Planner on, plug your USB into the PC, plug the other end into your autopilot, connect it, get familiar with the settings on the autopilot. Don't mess with any of the settings, but just navigate the pages, get familiar with the settings and the autopilot, the configuration menu, the initial setup menu, all that. But don't change any of the settings, okay? All right, right here, the receiver, RC receiver. When you plug your gimbal back in, Don't unplug this. This is to control. All you got to do is plug it in to this other black, green, and white servo connector coming out of the gimbal. Plugs into this, and that's for the camera control. I don't think there's anything else right now. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. And I hope you have fun and happy flying.